Hi, this is Eleanor, and welcome to this week's edition of the Intuition Lab. This week, I'm going to be talking about what your intuition can tell you about your health and well being. At times, you know something just isn't right, and maybe you go to the doctor, your healthcare provider, and you get your labs and other test results back, and it says you're normal, but you know you're not. Or sometimes you just keep getting messages and signs guiding you towards doing something or giving something up. For me, for example, I think I've mentioned before that about 2 years before I started, and that was last fall, I kept getting this quiet nudge to start lifting weights, and I didn't. And I'll go into that a little bit more. But how can we honor that little voice inside of us telling us that something isn't right or we need to give something up? And sometimes our body acts as a barometer of whether or not a situation, be it a place, a thing, a person, a relationship, is or is not right for us, and it comes through our health. So this week, I'm just going to run through all of this and tell you a little bit about how your intuition can be alerting you to things you need to take notice of. So, first way it does it is to let us know when something is wrong. As I mentioned, even if it doesn't show up in a test, you just know something isn't right, something is off. And that's something to honor because quite often, you feel something's wrong, something's changed. You're with your body every day, you know it. And you reach out to a provider and you get information and it says, no, everything's fine, but you know it's not. I mean, you can just accept that, or you can honor your intuition and either push back or, seek other opinions or just, tune in and ask yourself, okay, well, what could I be doing differently? What do I need right now? It's also in case of in case you get a prognosis that you maybe don't fully accept. Your intuition can nudge you to ask for guidance, to have the courage. That's where it really comes through, to give you the courage to say, you know what, this doesn't seem right for me. Is there another option? Can I get referred to someone else? Are there other treatments with other providers I can try? Or even just having the courage to schedule an appointment. And instead of just saying, oh, well, this is just the way it is. So when you get these nudges from your higher self, what do you do? The first thing to do is to tune into your intuition, right? It's a little repetitive here, but stay with me. What can I do? That is the question to ask yourself. What approach would work best for me? And see what you get. Sometimes it is get an appointment. Sometimes it is do nothing. Sometimes it's rest. Sometimes it's move your body, right? But you can almost always do something to aid your health, no matter where you are. You can tune into your higher self and ask, what can I do? Also, your intuition may come through with regards to your health by being guided to certain types of material or information. Many of us just get random things sent to us by people we love saying, well, this worked for me, try this. And that's not for you, but you can be asked to be guided to, is there any information out there that would help me? And just being open to receiving it. And I think when we get information that we know can help, it just lands differently. For me, it feels like there's a knowing, a correctness, a click. And you just feel that, yes, this is something I should pursue. Because let's face it, there's a lot of information out there, much of it untrue, but some of it is spot on and some of it is meant for you. There's also the knowledge that just because something worked really well for another person doesn't mean it's meant for you, and that's where your intuition can guide you towards this. I think especially when it comes to your health, things can be frightening. And when you are choosing an option, you always have to ask yourself, is this being done from a place of fear or a place of healing or just a balanced state? Are you in your energetic five state when you are buying this supplement, when you are subscribing to this newsletter, when you are doing X, Y, or Z? What is your energetic state and your energetic motivation behind it? Now, another opportunity for your intuition to guide you is when what you are being told by a provider does not ring true, or they might say something like, for me, I will use my example. I am losing a significant amount of weight, and there's the message that, oh, well, it might be harder for you because you're this age. And that just doesn't ring true for me. I know in my heart of hearts and intuitively that if I follow this course of action that I've decided on, that I will get to where I want to go. Will it take a good bit of time? Yes, yes, it will. But I refuse to believe that just because I am a certain age, I will not be able to lose weight and shape up. It's also important when you get things like this and you don't believe it's true to find the exceptions. Like I have gone online and found accounts, genuine accounts run by women who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, who are in good shape, who exercise, who, I wouldn't even say defy the odds. They have determined what they need to do to age well, and they're doing it. So I could believe on one hand, oh, it's going to be hard. I mean, at times it is challenging. I didn't want to lift weights yesterday, but I did it, right? But you can find the people who are the exceptions to the rule. Another way our intuition speaks to us through our health is developing sudden illness, or you just look blah or lackluster when you are in a situation with something or someone that is not right for you. It is an energetic drain, and your health will start to reflect this. So sometimes, even if you aren't really tuned in and getting obvious messages from your intuition, your body is a barometer. That gut feeling is sort of ground zero for intuition. And when your body just reacts strongly to someone or something, it is a great way to know that it is not for you. On the other hand, when you feel calm and at ease in a situation, that may mean it's right for you. Obviously, you need to tune into your intuition, do your due diligence, but that is another way that our intuition speaks to us and what can tell us about our health. Your health is a barometer for an environment being for you or being against you. And I have an earlier podcast episode that talks about, is it you or is it your environment? And I will have a link to that in, I think, the cards at the end of this episode. Your intuition and your health can speak to you when it's time to make a change. So let's say you've always done something for years and all of a sudden it has a different outcome. Like, let's say you were always able to handle dairy well. This is my story. I was allergic to milk when I was very young and I grew out of it. And then when I was about 15 or 16, lactose intolerance and I believe a mild dairy allergy came back with a vengeance. And, milk and dairy worked for me for years, but suddenly it caused a different outcome. And I think what my health was telling me about that is also that I tended to have lots of colds and respiratory issues. And when years later I gave up dairy for a period, I found that a lot of that and other food allergies that I had went away. So obviously, I'm not a physician, I'm not any sort of holistic healthcare provider, but I can tell you that sometimes when you don't listen to your intuition, like little things build up and all of a sudden you're hit with it, wham. But sometimes things that you've done for years don't work for you. Or if you were a person who did, and this is true of many women, a lot of cardio and didn't do weights, and all of a sudden, you're just not getting the results you used to get. It's time for a change. For me, it was, I had to address issues with binge eating, and it was time for me to start lifting so that as I lose weight, I am retaining strength and muscle mass. So that leads into, maybe your intuition is telling you it's time to change how you work out. Maybe you hated group classes in the past and now it seems appealing, or vice versa. Or maybe you're a runner and now you're being guided to do something else. Or maybe you are being guided to try a certain type of exercise, or to, if you're a yoga practitioner, you've always done like power yoga, maybe it is time to switch back to hatha yoga and do something a bit gentler because that's what you are being guided to do. So if you have this, maybe I should try this class instead, honor that and run with it. Also, your intuition can come through when either you want to start or stop doing something, or your higher self knows that it's time for you to stop. I'll use me as an example. Several years ago, I got the message, and this is before lockdowns and the like. So maybe 2016, 2017, I started getting this message that maybe you don't need to drink. I didn't have a drinking problem, but I would definitely have a couple of glasses of wine with dinner and maybe a cocktail or something before. And even if I didn't do the cocktail every day, I was doing the equivalent of a couple glasses of wine every night with dinner. A little voice inside of me said, maybe you don't need to do this anymore. And I cut back pretty quickly and pretty significantly. And now I maybe have a glass or two of wine a week, and that's even pushing it. It's more like 3 glasses or equivalent a month. And I feel a lot better. It also came out that my HbA1c levels, if you are familiar with that, it's indication, I think, of, don't quote me again, not a doctor, of how well my body is handling insulin, I believe. Um, how well my insulin is managing the glucose in my body. And it was high. It was not diabetic or even pre diabetic, but normally mine was on the low end of normal and it was at the top end of normal and had just gone over. And I think I've been getting these subtle nudges to, cut back on alcohol, do strength training, because these are all things that I believe have helped me to lower it back into a normal range. So, how can you use your intuition to take a comprehensive view of how you're doing health wise? And I will just introduce a topic you may be familiar with, and there are medical intuitives out there. I do not profess to be one, but I do use this on myself and my clients. And of course, I tell them to refer to a health professional for any issues, but you can scan your body. So, what that involves is obviously taking a deep breath, getting yourself into your energetic 5 state. So, refer to my podcast episode about that, but be in a calm place where you can really focus and tune in. And you can just almost pretend you're outside of yourself and just look at yourself and scan your body from top to bottom. And as you go through it, especially if there's a region where you have pain or something doesn't feel right, or if you just overall don't feel right, you can just ask, where is this pain issue? So if you know it's in one part of your body, you can ask, where does it originate? And just scan your body. It's all about body awareness. Like, how does each part of your body feel? So there's a physical and an intuitive component. For me, I started to notice that my right hip was hiking up higher than my left, something I've had issues with in the past. So I can consciously work on that. So it works on the physical level and on the energetic level. Why do I have that issue? It's because, well, I sat with my right leg tucked up under me for years, and my ligaments in that area became weakened, and I sort of threw myself out of alignment. But why was I doing that? And I think it was part of me contorting myself to fit in to, sorry, the neighbor's dog is a bit barky, contorting myself to fit into places and situations where I really did not belong. I am a big proponent in many cases of the mind body connection when it comes to physical disease or physical un- unwellness, if that's a term. discomfort, not being well, not being balanced. Our environment does affect us, which is why it is so important to remove yourself or find a way to mitigate the effect of being in what I would think of as a toxic environment. So you can scan your body and you can write down your observations. And if you have a regular checkup, or you have a scheduled appointment, you can, you don't have to say, well, I scanned myself intuitively, this is what I found, but now you have a comprehensive list of things you might want to talk to your healthcare provider about. So, what is the ultimate goal of using your intuition to learn things about your health or what your body is trying to tell you? I think the ultimate goal is empowerment and greater self knowledge, because you will be your best healthcare advocate because you know your body best of all. You live in it every day. You know how it reacts to things. You know if you take a dose of a medication and it seems to floor you, you know that. You know if you experience odd side effects. You may need the guidance of outside support, but ultimately, you know your body better than anyone else. And when there are changes in your health, ask yourself what it might be telling you. So I hope this helps. If you have any concrete examples of how your intuition has spoken to you through your health, or how you've received intuitive nudges to do something that either forewarned of a health condition or helped you to improve or reverse something, please let me know in the comments or send me a message. I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, if you are watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you are listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or another streaming service, please do subscribe and review. I have so much more great content to share with you. And if you would like to have a one on one session with me about finding your next best path, you know, tuning into your intuition, making sense of big changes in your life that you are being forced into or that you are consciously choosing, there will be information in the show notes about how to connect with me one on one. So until next week, be so well, take good care of yourself, and always tune into your intuition. Bye.